Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Robert is being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a great...
My goal is not to break you. My goal is to make you harder to break.
Comes back, number 6.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
Touchdown! 90-yard touchdown!
Off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James.
Sets his feet, takes a shot downfield, has Knighton. Caught! Touchdown! Chargers!
Grab your lunch boxes and go attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Yeah. 2-0. 2-0. A very famous coach, one by the name of Pete Carroll, is said to have said, well, that's a terrible thing, but be true to yourself and let nothing hold you back. Well, I'm sorry, Pete, but Gino's holding you back. The Raiders are holding you back. The Raiders stink. The Raiders stink. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Pete, because I tell you what, 20-9 sounds very, very tasty. Gino throwing 3 picks. Piss off. Get out of town. The Bolts are 2-0. And incredibly, yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jack's voice, but live from Italy, we have none other than Andrew Scott Prophet. Sir, how are you? Welcome.
Buongiorno. Sì, buongiorno, come estás? Welcome to the lovely town of Fidenza. Shout out to all our Italian listeners, if there are any. I'm in the heartland of, I believe, Lombardy at the minute, which is fitting. I'm reading When Pride Mattered as I journey with my family. A bit of a surprise. I said I'd be away. I couldn't stay away from TDU getting around a victory over the Raiders. And Jack, as you said, 3 picks to Gino, 15 pass breakups, 6 tackles for loss. What a heck of a defensive effort. And you know what? We win by, for the 3rd time, a double score victory over the Raiders. And Herbert doesn't even have to really get out of second gear. So sensational viewing. Got to thank my young son for the jet lag, waking up at 3:30 local time, able to catch the game live, which was awesome. Very hard to keep it in. But yes, exciting to be away from the rat race, but also to be here with you boys today, just for a little bit to soak up this 2-0 second victory, and it's exciting stuff.
And Andy, you are on your way to meet none other of a great friend of the podcast, Ryan Watkins. It's unbelievable. It's are you going to have good fun watching the game in a couple of days' time?
It's going to be fantastic, man. It's going to be fantastic. I'm very excited. Man. I'm excited. I'm heading over to the UK to watch my beloved Liverpool play at Anfield against Everton, the Merseyside derby, and then capping off a beautiful little 3-day sojourn with a double slate of Sunday games with none other than Ryan Watkins. Very excited to smash a lot of beers with him, watch some Chargers football, and be very hungover on my flight back to Italy the following day. But
now, Andy, we know what happened the last time you caught up. The last time you caught up with an international Chargers fan, there was big trouble. So you're just going to have to pace yourself and just remember that some of these foreigners, they know how to slam them down.
Well, I think you're tiptoeing the fact that you were quite inebriated yourself, Al. I just was arguably in a worse state, so I'm copping all the heat. Thanks, Kev. Looking forward to the next time you come down for a summer vacay, and I'll definitely be shining my boots before that event. We'll see how we go. Maybe the warm pints in England will suit me. That might be the home away from home I've been craving, but we'll see. I have been enjoying some delicious wine. I was just yesterday in I think the birthplace of limoncello, so having a lot of that, and the alcohol here is phenomenal. It is not taxed like it is in Australia, so my pockets are still relatively heavy, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with Ryan. I'm sure our Twitter will be flooded with photos of the before it starts and after it starts. Might be one or two of us under the table. It should be great.
Or under a car,
look,
possibly.
Well, I'll leave that to you. And what are the chances? How good to be able to watch the 3rd divisional game to start the season with Ryan, with the Chargers taking on the Broncos. But we're not there yet. We have the Raiders victory to talk about. That's what is it? The second consecutive year starting 2-0 for the Chargers. It's a fantastic way to kick off the season, and very excited.
So, Andy, because I know we've only got you for a short amount of time, did you have one interesting or important thing that really popped out from to you from this game at all before you kind of have to probably duck off and hit the road again?
I've probably got a little bit of time, but look, I think I said it at the start. The defensive effort was brilliant. It was borderline. You guys are going to break this down at a far deeper level, but God, it was pretty ugly watching what happened to Khalil Mack's elbow with that friendly fire from Troy Dye. Thankfully, folks, although he's placed on IR, it's not a season ending. There's no torn UCLs or anything like that. It's just a dislocated elbow, so we should see him back. But from the defensive point of view, the pass rush it looked great to start with. There was pressure, Derwin's hitting that pick on the right tackle and Max spinning inside, getting the sack. There's still a little bit of work to do. It's still a bit of a concern for me, but other than that, I thought the defensive effort across the board was phenomenal. Tyheap still is an animal. Tony Jefferson, bit disappointed he gets signed to the practice squad, but he comes out when his number's called and balls, gets himself a pick. Dayon Henley again. And Al, you've been banging the drum about this. Let's get sick before a game. Let's have one or two guys that are borderline incapacitated who then step up and play lights out football. It is phenomenal stuff. Really fun to watch.
So far, it's the theme of the 2025 season. I mean,
the young season it is, yes.
Used to be the Jack Boys. I think where the defense is the diarrhea boys or something like that at the minute, man. Every time someone goes down unwell, whether it's the rice and beans, whether it's a few too many cocktails with the free gambling at Vegas, it's just leading to brilliant outcomes. And for me, this game is going to come down to two things will stick in my memory, I think, Jack. The first, while watching it, was Dayon Henley. This is his flu game. I'm not going to profess to be the basketball fan you are. I couldn't even tell you who the game was against when Jordan did it. But for me, this was that moment where, very first snap of the game, he's had an interception. He's also had an insane sack on a delayed blitz. And if you look at his speed rushing through that A gap or the B gap, for a man who's sick, had a fever, whatever it was, 101 earlier in that morning, he didn't show any wear and tear. He didn't show any effects. He had... What did he have? 7 tackles, 3 assists. It was an outstanding game from him. That's what you take from the broadcast. Though, in the cold light of day, having watched the coach's film today, for me, I'm going to remember this game as the Jesse Minter masterclass. For me, this is the game where Minter announced himself as an, at minimum, top 3 defensive mind in the world at the moment. I mean... I'm taking a leaf out of the Americans' book where they say, hey, football, we're the champions of the universe, we're the champions of the world. Jesse Minter is the defensive coordinator, par non, as we just have Andy's young son, young Ozzy Eckler, popping in to join us. What was outstanding to me in this game from Jesse Minter was we don't have Joey Bosa this year. We lose Khalil Mack, 11 snaps into the game. It really didn't matter. Geno Smith in this offense last week had 360 passing yards. This week they had 180 passing yards. And Jesse Minter just said, you know what? I know this guy's aggressive. I can't get pressure traditionally with 4. So I'm going to use sim pressure creepers. And you just referred to one of them, Andy, where you kind of send Derwin and pick a guy and have Mack twist. Or there's one where he had Dayon Henley come from the middle of the field and have Bud Dupree drop. So Geno is feeling uncomfortable despite only 4 guys rushing. It's still putting them off. And then on the back end, he's doing stuff like non-traditional tamper or too high or cover 6. And Geno just thought, I don't know what to do. Chip Kelly thought, I don't know what to do. The guy wants to throw deep, but the coverage is making him pass short. But they've got an injured Brock Bowers. And the amazing stat from this game, before I throw to you, Jack, for your kind of important theme of this game, Geno Smith on throws of at least 10 air yards went 0 of 10 with 2 picks. Daniel Popper posted this stat that the last time a quarterback attempted 10 passes of at least 10 air yards in a game and didn't complete a single one, that was Nick Foles when he was a Chicago Bears quarterback in 2015. It's been 10 years. Jesse Minter, take a bow.
Yeah, I mean, to add on top of that, our like Next Gen Stats actually has Geno Smith at 7-10, 0 of 12, 3 interceptions beyond 10 yards. That's how poor he was. He had no idea what to do. The holes were they were tiny. I mean, there was that one, I think it was Bowers on the seam, where the commentators were really having a go at him for not throwing it, but that was deep into the game. His confidence was already completely shot. So and we said the pass rush, and Andy, you noted the pass rush wasn't particularly great, perhaps after Mack went down, but I must admit the interior of the defensive line is something that is continually standing out to me with Jamari Caldwell, Naquan Jones, and Tier Tart. We seem to be also, there must be something to do with the coaching in terms of like actually having eyes on the quarterback and putting a mitt in the air just to deflect balls. I really think that takes the absolute confidence out of opposition QBs because they're trying to find holes in this absolute web of coverage in the back end. And when they do try and throw it, there's a hand or at least there's disruption. Yes, we're not getting to the quarterback and sacking perhaps, but I still think when I was watching the trenches in this game, especially on defense, that the pocket was quite disruptive or disrupted by the interior of the offensive line. So far, like Tart and Jones have kind of just sort of, them together have kind of sort of covered the loss of Poona. And Jamari Caldwell, my Lord, what a big man. So fast, so quick, and he gets his first sack in his second game. Super, super exciting. So that's kind of where it is for me on defense. But one of the most important things that I noted, and it's not the flashy stuff, it's not the pass to QJ, it's not the pass to Keenan Allen, but it's just the way that the run game has just stepped up in grittiness. Now, if you look at the stats, you look at the run game and you go, oh, that's not very good. But it's those extra yards, and we talked about it in the offseason. It's those extra, rather than the 2-yard gain, it's a 4, 5, or a 6-yard gain. And all of a sudden, it's 2nd and 4, or it's 2nd and 3. It just is keeping, I feel like it's just keeping Justin Herbert on time and on schedule. And that big 4th down run from Amari and Hampton, yes, people are saying, and there are critiques about it, but I tell you what, Ashton Jeanty didn't look very good either. Ashton Jeanty almost looks like he doesn't want to even block for Geno Smith on some of those ones. So, but that 4th down run when he busts outside, takes a couple of hits and goes for 14, that is just game-changing. People will overlook it and say, oh, yeah, whatever. But that, to me, was one of the most important parts of the game. And as you said, Andy, or as Alistair, I can't remember, Justin Herbert didn't really have to do too much. He was just Justin Herbert. Definitely wasn't week 1 Justin Herbert. But, yeah, absolutely incredible, I think.
Yeah, look, I shouldn't have said that the pass rush was a concern when we've generated 3 sacks. But definitely watching the likes of Bud Dupree kind of not being able to penetrate pass. He's getting held up on the edge. He's not containing. There are, elements of concern. But like you said, Jackie, you said it very well that the interior of the defensive line has surprised me. It was almost a full changing of the guard there, and the guys look great. Jamari Caldwell, absolute steal in the 3rd round, and fantastic for him to get his first numbers on the board there. But, it's testament to the coverage as well, isn't it? Keeping Geno in the pocket and confusing the heck out of him, which is great. He didn't have an answer. Chip Kelly didn't have an answer. Minter, fantastic. Look, got to shout out QJ. Great 60-yard touchdown. I know blown coverage again, but it's all confidence. And now he's 256 receiving yards or something, 2 touchdowns to start the year, or 3 maybe. And it's all positive. Last thing for me, I've got to go because I've got a tearaway, but fantastic to start the year 2-0, 2 divisional wins. That stuff will show the reward at the end of the year when things get a little tighter. You start seeing more injuries, teams tiring up, and these big wins at the start of the year are priceless. So fantastic. Herbert didn't really have to do nearly as much as he did in the first week, and still a double-digit win. So Awesome. Guys, I'll leave you there and let you guys get stuck into the rest of the show. But TDU crew, 2-0, baby. What a start to the year. Arrivederci. I'll catch you next time, baby. Woo!
Arrivederci, mate. Ciao. Enjoy Italy, mate. Good to see you. Awesome to have you. Oh, that was a wonderful surprise, wasn't it?
It's very nice. And, I mean, he better be careful. If he's in a town called Lombardy, nothing will be open. So that's probably
exactly.
It's probably why he's been able to join us for so.
He'll just be eating breadsticks, I think. Yeah.
No, it's great to have him though, and I think listeners, I think he's gone for 4 weeks or thereabouts. So if he can join us for little bits and pieces, he will. Where do you want to go next?
Let's just, I mean, I think we sort of do need to keep talking about this defense. Normally we start with the offense, but let's talk about this defense. So what are you seeing? Yes, we lose Mac, but is it such a big deal? That's where I'm going. And what Andy was saying, and as he was talking about, that we generated 3 sacks, it seems to be that Minter has this defense connected from front to back to front. And generally what we're used to seeing is Bosa, Mac, off the edges, collapsing the pocket, very, very aggressive, but this disruption, as I said, with the hands in the face of the quarterback. I mean, it confused Mahomes, it's confused Geno, 2 very experienced quarterback, and we'll talk about maybe Bo Nix later, but is it just next man up now? And we just go, well, all we want to do is disrupt the pocket. We're not looking for the flashy sacks. All we want to do is make sure we're sticky on the back end and force those really tight throws. So do you think it's actually that big of a loss?
Well, I think first the great news is the game tool he had. So he really stood up, and he brought 6 pressures. He was very stout in run defense. He had that knockback that caused the 5-yard tackle for loss of Genty. That helps. I do think, though, in the long term, there is probably an issue with essentially relying on schemed pressure. And by that, I mean, Minter's either having to simulate pressure by doing something that looks exotic up front, or he's having to blitz. He doesn't like to blitz very often. I don't think we did it much in this game. When we do, it's usually 5. Sometimes it's 6. It's never 7. He wants 2 or 3 or 4 guys deep. But I feel like there does come a time, especially against the better teams, where you want to be able to get pressure just with 4 dudes rushing the passer. And what I saw was Bud Dupree looking like a guy who's almost not up to NFL level anymore. I know Jim Harbaugh sang his praises in the press conference today. Maybe some listeners won't like it. I just watched the tape, and Colton Miller is just stopping him, stonewalling him with absolute ease, at least on true pass rush sets. And then on the other side, Caleb Murphy also struggled. So what do you think?
Well, I'm just going to throw it back to you, but are we not living in the generation of simulated pass rush? It seems to be everywhere. What's that blitz that they're doing where the linebacker turns his hips and then goes? What's that called? It's the
coffee house
blitz, house blitz or something. That seems to be all over social media. That style of defense is that exotic look. You don't know where it's coming from. And I do get what you're saying. At the end of the day, championships, especially when you come to, the finals, it is the best player on the best player. And that's where people like Bud Dupree and Murphy might sort of really struggle against more of a... But I keep saying, if Mahomes didn't know what to do and Andy Reid didn't know what to do, it's one of the best tandems in the league. Yes, KC's offense it was a bit depleted, but it's just, are we sort of not living in the world of, well, maybe Minter, we can be okay, and
we can definitely be okay, Jack. I think we can be very good. We've seen it with the current team. The question for me is, like, if this is a win now year where suddenly, hey, it looks like Herbert has so many weapons, and Hampton looks great. He hasn't busted any big runs yet, but he looks really athletic. And Najee Harris, I thought, looked really good this week.
Good, yes.
If that's the case, maybe you think, hang on, what do we need to actually win the Super Bowl this year? Do we want to risk it with basically no one who can have a pass rush win rate, even of 15%? I reckon we're looking at 10 to 13%, guys. The elite guys are around 18 to 20. Do you pull a trade for a Trey Hendrickson? Do you do something super aggressive? Look at the Packers, Jack. We were both on board for the Micah move. It's looking pretty good through 2 games.
I mean, Micah Parsons is looking unbelievable, and they say that they haven't even unleashed him properly yet, and he's chomping at the bit to be fully unleashed. It's an interesting one, and I was even flirting with the idea today that maybe we don't get a true big dog pass rusher like a Hendrickson. Quay Walker apparently has been floated, whether that's true or not, but we're probably in the market for another linebacker, and I'm sort of thinking not a Diane Henley type or a Troy Dye, perhaps a bigger bodied version of Denzel Perriman that maybe can line up at the edge, but it can also drop into coverage that's relatively athletic. Just another weapon, because that's something we don't really have. We don't have that. I'm thinking who would be a good comp? I don't know, like a Daniil Hunter, that kind of long-limbed athletic freak. Tooley's power, Max power. Caleb Murphy's young, and Bud Dupree is Bud Dupree. So, yeah, it'd be fascinating. I think we probably won't see that discussion until we're getting to week 6, week 7, towards the trade deadline, because if we're sitting 5-1 or 4-2, and we're sitting atop the AFC West, you might just go, hey, let's pull the trigger. Let's go here.
Pull it. And then I can almost hear Kyle ringing in my ears, Jack. I'm just getting up Trey Hendrickson now and over the cap. What he would tell me is something like, Trey Hendrickson, yeah, okay, so he's a free agent at the end of the year. The team who trades for him right now, it would cost them $9.5 million or thereabouts for his services for the rest of the year. We've got the cap space. Don't forget, if he's a free agent at the end of this year, your sell to him is, we'll trade you, we'll acquire you, we'll let you become a free agent at the end of the year. You can get your big contract then, whether it's with us or with another team. If it's with another team, you actually get the comp pick. So that would partially offset whatever you spend to trade for him. You might actually get something close to equivalent back in a comp pick. It's pretty, I don't know, strategically sound.
Joe Burrow's got that turf toe. He looks like he's either going to be out for 3 months or he's going to be hampered. Poor Joe, I think. I really feel for him. God, he gets lit up every week. But, geez, I tell you what, because, talking about dominant edges, Max Crosby possibly had one of the most incredible games at edge I've ever seen. And maybe that's a guy that, imagine if we had someone like that. God, he was stuffing runs. He was coming across the offensive line to stop Amari and Hampton. He made, our tight ends look like they weren't even there. He single-handedly kept the Raiders in that game till almost the very end. So quite incredible. I will say, as much as I hate the Raiders, that was an incredible game. The other thing I just wanted to say, it's incredible. We don't have the depth in the edge room, but my Lord, it doesn't matter who's at safety, strong safety or free safety, they come in and play well. Like, I think Tony Jefferson had that one bad angle that went for a sort of a relatively big yardage, but it literally looks like we could put anyone in there from Gilman, Molden, Jefferson, Mickens, and we're safe. So the only thing is Cam Hart, Alistair. Yeah. Hasn't looked great the last 2 weeks. No. What did you see from the All-22?
I actually thought he was worse on the broadcast than he was on the All-22, because when you watch the broadcast, you see that play where it looked like Thornton goes streaking across the field on a crossing route wide open. Cam Hart was actually trying to do a switch and signal a switch to Taib Still, which Still didn't really see, and it's Still who should have followed him. I know watching live, I blamed Hart for that. I think it was actually, it was at a minimum, it was both of their fault, and just one of those good schemed up play by Chip Kelly. I still think though he does have to be more careful than the other corners because of his size. He can get grabby. We saw the defensive pass interference where he grabbed Jacoby Myers in the first quarter. He also lost track of his man in a bunch formation at one point to allow a 25-yarder to Jacoby Myers. I think he's at the moment, he's the worst performing corner on the team. And that includes St. Just, who played a few snaps and looked okay for the 13 or 14 snaps he played this week.
And Jackson looks solid. I mean,
really good.
Taib Still. I mean, Andy was talking about it. My God, that guy can tackle. That guy's everything we wanted Asante Samuel Jr. to be and more. And we spent a 5th round pick on him. incredible. That tackle that I think was at Ginty coming across towards the camera side, and he'd broken 2 or 3 tackles, and I was like, if Tahib still doesn't make this, he's going for a big one.
1-on-1. And Derwin's just missed him, like a tackle missed him, and then Derwin's bounced off Ginty, and Still's like, okay, I'm going to bear hug you to the ground.
Incredible. And I just went, oh, that's, again, there are these small things, right? And we've watched the Chargers enough now, and most of our listeners do. They're the things that would always not happen. That was Asante Samuel Jr. whiffing the tackle, and the run goes for 15, 16 yards. And you go, well, that's just taken the wind out of our sails. So, it's these small little moments that I'm finding that have gone the other way in the past number of years. They just haven't fallen our way. Anything else on the defense that you want to talk about?
I'll share a little vignette that Daniel Popper wrote about today. And the defensive players were telling a story that during the off-season and training camp, Jesse Minter's idea was at the end of every training session, one player speaks in front of the group about the one thing he wants to improve on this year from last year. And, Derwin spoke about using his voice more in leadership. Tahib Still stood up and said, I want to work on my tackling. I had 12 missed tackles last year. For 2 weeks, he's got 9 run stops. He's one of the highest graded defensive backs in the NFL at the moment. So isn't that superb? It's insight into Minter's style and how he's thoughtful, and he comes up with little ideas and things to share with the team. And then the ownership and maturity of Tahib Still as a second-year player. I'm going to call it, he's the most improved player on the team, and that includes, it might include Joe Alt. It's those two guys now who are just playing lights out football.
And it is, I mean, he shadowed Khalil Mack in the offseason as well, got there, was always following him around, asking him questions, looking what the ultimate professional does. Before we move on, let's talk about Derwin James, because that is now the eye tests. PFF didn't have him incredibly graded like he was against the Chiefs, but this is how I've always envisioned Derwin James. We've had so many defensive coordinators say, he's a Swiss Army knife, man. We're going to play him, he's going to do all these things. And he's always just flashed this kind of greatness at different spots, but he's never sort of been able to put it all together in this way. It seems to me that there's this confluence of confidence and belief and skill, and Minter knows exactly what to do with him at the right time, and he's playing free. The play where he's up the middle, and who was it to? Was it to Bowers that he knocks to was it Jackson gets the interception at the end?
Yeah, I wish I could remember who the pass breakup was. It might have been a wide receiver. It was deep into the end zone.
It was, and normally that would be either a linebacker, but Derwin's playing in the middle of the field. The speed that he jumps and turns and taps it, and whether it was deliberate or not that he taps it for the interception, I don't know. But that type of stuff, and again, Alistair, it's one of those things that 3 years ago would be a pass breakup and it wouldn't be an interception, and that was kind of be like, oh, it was a just moment. But it all seems to be happening. Derwin James is going to, I think, retake the mantle of the best safety in the game.
Yep, and those unnecessary roughness things, that's completely gone. That's not happening anymore.
Absolutely.
He's there on time. He's there ahead of schedule. He understands the defense. He knows his role. And like you said, they're critical game-changing plays. Their sacks, their quarterback hits, their interceptions. They're getting a tipped pass into an interception. It's we could talk about the defense for the next 30 minutes. We could talk about Naquan Jones never should have been inactive in week 1. What does he do this week? He's playing batted pass. He's chasing the quarterback, Geno Smith, out to the sideline. He's chasing Genty on a swing pass out to the sideline. We've got Deshaun Hand. He's another guy who's just popped up at the right time. He's been really good in run defense. Jamari Caldwell, you mentioned him, Jack. Have you ever seen a rookie defensive tackle have their first sack in the NFL not celebrate? Get up and go straight back to the line of scrimmage.
Let's do it. It's incredible, isn't it?
Ludicrous.
It's just so good.
So it's just, I don't know. I'm almost speechless. That's rare. You know, you've known me for almost 20 years. I've always got something to say. I've almost lost things to say about the defense. Is there anything negative, Jack? We've talked about unschemed pressures. Can we get traditional pressures? Cam Hart. Maybe one more I'll throw to you, Jack. I think Justin Aboigbe is someone who you're on the cusp of being right about. He actually got 10 or so snaps as an edge after Khalil Mack came out, playing more of your 5 technique outside the tackle. Didn't look very good. And he's okay at run defense. Like, he has 1 tackle. He's not getting knocked back, but you were right. Like, you called it. I think this guy's a tweener. You said it when we drafted him. You can see we've now gotten very big in the middle of the trenches. These guys like very Caldwell big. And Hand and Naquan are massive. Aboigbe stands out in a bad way as a guy who's not playing badly. He's just not doing anything well, and it makes me think, this guy's not a great draft pick at the minute.
Yeah, I do wonder, and I had no idea what Minter's defense was going to look like, but he's the kind of body that I go, I don't know where you fit now, because as you said, Al, quite rightly, these guys are 350, 360, 370, some of them probably on a good day. And Aboigbe is sitting in that low 300s. I don't know where he fits. Perhaps he's just got some untapped potential. I mean, the fact that he gets 10 snaps, I must admit, I didn't even notice him. So I wasn't even aware that he got snaps. But before we move on to the defense to finish off, not that it's a negative, but I think it's an overall positive. That 19-play, 11-minute Raiders drive, I can't remember seeing the defense bend but not break in the way that they did, because there was some adversity there. They were blowing the players after the game were like, whew. There, we didn't train for like a 19-20 play drive. It's not what you normally do. But the fact is, again, Alistair, there are these small things that last year we would have broken on the 13th play, the 14th play. There would have been a botched substitution. There would have been something that went wrong. Someone was tired. Someone just didn't get it, and it would have been a touchdown. And the game script, I think, is quite different. But my Lord, and I don't want to touch on the time because that's my teachable moment, but that was pretty impressive. Let's move on to the offense. Where do you want to start here? Do we want to start with the signal caller, or do we want to start in the trenches or wide receivers? What are we thinking?
I'm going to start with the game plan. I have been so impressed that through 2 weeks, the strides we've made when facing, 5-6 man pressures, and having a pass protection plan and having an offensive game plan. Is it as simple as, there are more weapons there, like your Keenans, that kind of unlock some elements of the quick game? Perhaps. What I'm seeing is Becton's addition being massive, Zion playing much better football, Amari and Hampton picking up blitzes. We spoke about that outstanding blitz pickup of Devin White that led to the first touchdown of the game to Keenan Allen. Genty wasn't doing that, as you rightly pointed out. And I could not believe it. The offensive line allowed 6 total pressures in the game. I mean, we're used to that number being 13, 17, 20 this week. 6.
Yeah. Incredible.
It's outstanding. So, and with the quality of quarterback that we have as a team, you only pressure Justin Herbert on 25% of downs, you're going to win the game 9 times out of 10.
I'm fascinated that it's the second week in a row where all the really average pundits and reporters, Greg Roman, they love to run the ball. They're just going to run. They're going to run the ball. That's what all of them say. They don't know the Chargers. They didn't watch last week, but a leopard does change its spots. And Greg Roman, everyone think that, and maybe, you should listen to the Thunder Down Under podcast and go, you know what? That Jack guy actually said something quite interesting, 2 months ago, when everyone thinks we're going to zig, Greg Roman zags, and Justin Herbert is throwing the ball. Didn't have an incredible game, but my Lord, the way that the receiver room is built, Keenan Allen, that addition, we'll talk about QJ in a second, but Ladd McConkey's ability to find space in a they were dropping 8. They were dropping 7. and like there was still space. There's this nuance to Lad McConkey's game that I can't remember a receiver for the Chargers having. Keenan Allen was very good at it in his heyday, but there's this ability to, I think they noted on the broadcast a couple of times, he's seen where the defense is and he's just sat right in the middle of the zone and the ball is centimeter perfect. So, and you know what, let's talk about QJ. I mean, it is the year of QJ. People are saying, oh, he's showing that he's a first round pick. Alistair, was it blown coverage? Is this just a bit of are we now seeing QJ as the third receiver against, because the teams have got to guard Keenan Allen and Lad McConkey, and hey, Trey Harris popped up this week as well, and it's just too many. So you're gonna so QJ's going to be free, and he's playing pretty well at the moment. Arguably, he's catching the ball, which is kind of the baseline of what a wide receiver should do. But for Quentin Johnson, that's incredible.
He's had 8 catches, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. If he does that all year, he's going to have over 1,000 yards. He's going to have 12 touchdowns. He's going to have had a brilliant season. I view him as a wide receiver 3. I think he's the third fiddle behind Lad and Keenan, and that's okay. It suits him. He's going to draw a lesser quality defensive back, generally speaking. Yes, it was a busted coverage, the big long touchdown, but I'm going to give him credit because I still thought he ran a beautiful route. I thought the way he sold that, kind of shaped in and then Bernarded out, they pointed it out on the coverage. You do get some credit for that, I think, even if it was a scheme failure.
Yeah.
One thing I would like...
And how's Greg Roman in the box, How's Greg Roman? You saw him. Catch it, QJ! Catch it, QJ! Catch it! And he was excited. I love seeing the offensive coordinator. It was so good.
It's why the sport's so good. Like the level of anxiety and preparation that goes into that 3 hours... That like they're up till 2 a.m. drawing things in their book, and they're like, "Oh my god, I've called the play. I can see the coverage they're in. Oh my god, he's open. It's gonna work. Please catch it. Please fucking catch it." And he did. And Big Greg, he actually was so excited he dropped his pen. I think at one point.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Jack, is I still think one thing to call out with QJ, he is 1 out of 5 this year on contested catch targets. I still don't know, this week he had 7 targets and Lad had 5. I'm just going to say, I really don't think there should be any week where he's having more targets than Lad. Maybe if Lad's being triple teamed, but I still think like he has strengths and he had weaknesses. And I'm still seeing Herbert is like, I'll throw a back shoulder fade to him, or I'll throw a comebacker where there's pretty tight coverage. And then I look on the other side of the formation and it's like Lad one-on-one with someone. Calm down, Herbert. He's okay. He's okay. He is the third receiving weapon.
Or is this the long game? He's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers, and everyone early season focus on QJ. He's got 8 touchdowns, but then in the later in the season it's just Lad, Keenan, 100 yards, 120, 10 catches, like we saw against the Texans. What I could do without is seeing QJ on an end around or Darius Davis on an end around on fairly solid plays. Can we just stop that as well? I can't remember an end around that I've ever seen work. When was the last time an end around worked for the Chargers? Couldn't tell you.
Been a while.
But yeah, let's talk about the trenches, because there is you mentioned Johnson, you mentioned Mackay. PFF has some very strange grading, I think, and I think it's worth to talk about because listeners, if you don't look at PFF, they had Trey Pipkins as our top rated pass blocker with 84. Like you're talking elite, and they had Mekhi Becton at 45, which is below average, quite below average actually. I know you watched the game today, El, with your 22. The eye test that wasn't right for me. I don't think I wouldn't call Trey Pipkins that elite. In the other way, I didn't think he was that bad either. I thought it was a fairly solid effort. I just thought Crosby made an absolute meal of our tight ends a couple of the times. Like he just blew straight by them. But other than that, Johnson looked good. I mean, Bozeman again is just solid. Okay. Like
I've got some problems with Bozeman. Like having just got through that, like I feel like a lot of the running game woes are Bozeman's fault. I also think a couple of those. I think there were 3 passes against an all-out blitz where Herbert got it out really quickly. for a completion, and I'm glad he did because Bozeman has whiffed off the snap and Herbert was about to get enveloped. I think Bozeman is struggling, but look, it's early in the season. If he's the weakest link on the line and the other four are playing well, I think that we're seeing that the line is good enough. Mekhi Becton struggled a little bit early against a guy called Thomas Booker for the Raiders. So I think some of his poor grade was early in the game, and he worked into it as it developed. A lot of the things you're referring to with Crosby, and we can kind of alternate now and talk about the running game. We're more in the run game. So Max Crosby had one of his least productive games as a pass rusher against the Chargers. He was charged with only the one pressure. And I think that's right. A lot of those splash plays you're referring to were in the running game, and there were 3 or 4 of them. And they blew up the play completely. And he's knifing across from a wide alignment and somehow getting through the B gap. Stop trying to block him with a tight end, guys. Like, that's just not going to work. Or, there are a few where he's managed to split Pipkins and Becton, and Pipkins looking out here at the other defensive end, and Becton's looking at a linebacker. And I'm thinking, you might want to look at Max Crosby. The scheme might want to account for that guy, Max Crosby.
Yeah.
The run game in generally, Jack, what did you think?
Listen, as I think I mentioned it before, it wasn't sexy at all. But did it play an integral part to the game script? Absolutely. Najee Harris comes in to essentially ice the game as well. For one of the first times, I wasn't worried. Listen, Crosby gets the fumble on Hampton. I'm talking a little bit after that when it was under 4 minutes. Najee Harris comes in. I still think Hampton showed. There was one run, I can't remember what it was, but he sort of changed direction a couple of times, saw the gap and went for sort of a 6 or 7 or 8 yarder. I thought was great.
Yeah.
But there clearly is a lot more confidence in Justin Herbert with the running backs picking up the blitz. Dobbins was good last year. The others, not so much. We haven't seen Vidal at all. It just feels to me, if I'm looking at Genty and Hampton, and Genty was meant to be generational, right? And I think possibly still might be. There wasn't much of a drop-off between Genty and Hampton. If anything, I'm possibly going to say that Omarion Hampton had a better game than Ashton Genty. So when you look at it in that, and you take a step back and go, well, was Hampton worth it? Based on this game, you'd say absolutely. There's still a lot more work to do. I still think the running game is not going to be as good as it would have been if we had Rashawn Slater. I just don't think Joe Alt is powerful enough. Pipkins is definitely not powerful enough. The other three, to a point, Zion, yes. Mekhi, yes. Bozeman is wait and see. But we seem to be just next-gen stats looking at most of the runs are going left as well for Hampton. There's not a lot happening on that right-hand side. So, yeah, in this strange way, it was integral for us. The running game was integral to us winning, but I don't think people will be saying that it's an incredible running game, but it's better than what it was last year. So that's where I have to keep comparing in my mind. I always keep comparing.
Yeah. And we'll maybe look into some data as the year goes on. Are there fewer negative runs? That's the thing you seem to be saying. I feel like there are fewer tackles for loss. At least it's 2 or 3 yards and it's 2nd and 7 rather than 2nd and 11. I feel like that's true. I feel like between Hampton and Najee, they both do a really good job falling forwards. Their yards after contact are averaging something like 3 or 3.4. Anything around 3 yards after contact is excellent. So I think that's really great for these 220-pound backs. And even though, look, it's a work in progress, I have faith in the 2 running backs. I'm still a bit surprised that Tucker Fisk is being made inactive. That's 2 games in a row where I'm seeing, whether it's Disley or Conklin, slightly missing blocks. And that's enough. It can just be one block. Joe Alt, unfortunately, missed 1 or 2. It just takes one. Where if the Raiders are going to have 8 in the box, it just takes one missed block and the run suddenly is 1 yard, or it is that 2 yard. I'm still waiting to see a bit more of this promised run game. Mekhi Becton on power. I shared a clip with you earlier today. I posted on Twitter the get out of the club, throw the guy out the building kind of block. I want to see more of those. That time it had got 7 yards, I think. It was the last run before the half. I want to see more of that, Jack. I think one last thing I'll say on the running game is Herbert had the most rush attempts on the team. I don't think you wouldn't have signed up for that or imagined that ever heading into a season with a Greg Roman running game, Hampton and Najee Harris, would you?
You do wonder, and we've talked about this. I think we talked about this offline. That win games now, win games whichever way you can, and the way you win games at the start of the year is to play and put the ball in the best player's hands. Justin Herbert is the best player on this football team. Again, everyone thought we were going to zig. We're zagging. Teams are confused. If you get to week 8, week 9, and you're sitting 6-2, 7-3, something like that, then you start to take team souls. Is that then you've got something to play for, but you're playing against people who are 5-5 or 4-6 or something, and that will to block, that will to tackle of a defense, especially a front seven, is just that little bit less. And that's when you Najee Harris, you just go on pounding drives. You assert your will as an offensive lineman and you win with road graders. That's where I'm hoping that's where the offense starts to go, because then Justin Herbert gets a break. He's playing winning football, and then come playoff time, all of a sudden they go, geez, I don't know what they're going to do, because we haven't really seen a passing game from them for the final 6 games of the year. That's where I'd like to see us go. But ultimately, we need to win first. And that kind of starts with the Broncos.
It's a marathon and not a sprint. Now, we've been rabbiting on for 45 minutes without Andy to restrain us. I might make up one final comment before we go to some awards. I'll go to the awards, Jack, before your teachable moment. This is going to become a weekly thing. The screen game. The team is 2-0. Guess what, listeners? The Chargers are the only team in the NFL at the moment not to have thrown one single screen pass.
It's amazing.
Trevor Lawrence has thrown 16. Bo Nix has thrown 11. Justin Herbert, 0. He's actually 34th out of 34 because there are 2 teams who have had a second quarterback play and throw a screen pass. So, look, I guess it's all good when you're winning, but maybe it's something we'd like to see work in there at some point with these running backs. All right, a couple of awards without Andy. We've got the Yeah Nah Award and the Nah Yeah Award. I know we've got some first-time listeners at this point of the year. Our Yeah Nah is something that starts off good and then ends up being not so good. And my Yeah Nah Award for this week, Jack, I don't think Harbaugh really knows what he's doing on 4th down. And I thought that last year, there is not a consistent methodology. Daniel Popper was asking him some questions about it today, and the response didn't fill you with a lot of confidence. Why am I talking about this? I thought it was a really great decision. The first 4th down, it was a 4th and 2. The Chargers are up 17-6. It's the third quarter. He goes for it. Herbert hits a 20-yard completion to Keenan Allen over the middle. Great, aggressive, cool, new set of downs. And then we get right up close. We're like 2 yards out. We try to run it in, and we try to run it in, and we try to run it in. And then on that, it was a 4th and 2. He goes, actually, no, we'll take the field goal now and go up 20-6. I actually didn't mind that. I thought you're a much better team. You've milked more clock. Now you're going to go conservative and trust the defense. Take your points. You're 20-6. Then on the next drive, we go for the 4th and 1 on the Las Vegas 50 with the score 20-9 with 8 minutes left with a Darius Davis end around. So there I'm thinking, what are you doing? They're like, if you punt that, you're pinning them back and you're going to make them go 90 yards down the field. Why are you going for it in the middle of the field? And now if you fail, they're going to have hope. They've got the ball in midfield. If you want to go for it, go for the 4th and 2 at the red zone, at the 2-yard line that you took the field goal. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying, Harbaugh, I don't know what you're doing, dude. Is it old age? Is it something else? He needs some help. Now for the Nah Yeah Award. So something that starts bad, ends up good. Neither of us have mentioned Cameron Dickerjack. And why this started as a nah for years as we followed this team. It's just been a revolving door of woe. That's what it's been. It's been the Josh Lambos and the Young Wei Koo, or kickers who end up being good elsewhere but are terrible for the Chargers. Well, Cameron Dicker becomes literally the most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the NFL with a minimum of 100 attempts. He had his 100th attempt and he put it through, which means he's 94 out of 100. And now he's first in front of Justin Tucker with an 89% percentage. And Harrison Butker, who's third. So well done, Cameron Dicker. It's the Nah Yeah Award to you. And now, Jack, it's time for your teachable moment.
Teach. All right, look, here's the deal. I've got a hangover.
The teachable moment here is, I've alluded to it earlier, is all about control. The Bolts bled the first half clock, then opened the third quarter with a long drive that stalled at the 5, but still banked 3, Alistair, as you were talking about, and more importantly, chewed half the quarter to push it to 20-6. Las Vegas answered with a 19-play, 11-minute march, classic bend but don't break from Jesse Minter's defense, that ended in a field goal. Win the turnover battle, 3-0, something we didn't mention, that we didn't turn the ball over. Keep tackles in bounds, avoid penalties, stiffen inside the 10, not the only thing stiffening, and you quietly delete possessions. That's scoreboard pressure without the fireworks. Think Jane Austen at the ballroom. She controls outcomes by controlling tempo, measured dances, clipped conversations, a letter delivered at just the right moment, so tensions spend themselves with little payoff until the decisive scene. The Chargers did the same with time. They didn't chase drama. They managed the narrative, perhaps with a couple of weird senile decisions in there, forcing the Raiders to burn page after page, snap after snap, for a mere comma, a field goal, while the real turning points were restraint and timing. That's the teachable moment. Shout out to my literature class. They're almost finished, and they're going to sit their exam in a couple of weeks' time.
All the best to them.
Yeah. All right. I reckon maybe we should just talk about the Broncos, hey? We don't necessarily need to do too much, and we'll just go from there. Let's go.
Let's talk about them. So, the Broncos, for those who didn't watch the game, they had a loss at Indianapolis to the Colts. 29-28. So it was a really tight game. Ended up in overtime, if I'm not mistaken, or at least right down to the wire. Daniel Jones had a fantastic game. Indiana Jones, he has his 316 yards and a touchdown. Bo Nix started the game on fire, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he sails an interception in the fourth quarter when he's trying to target Sutton. And what did we see? A really fiery ending to the game, Jack. Will Lutz misses a 42-yard field goal. So the Broncos are up by 2 minutes with 2 points with 3 minutes left. Steichen gets conservative, playing for a 60-yard field goal attempt, which gets missed. But then, oh dear, there's a flag on the play, and it's a 15-yard penalty for a leverage penalty, which I can't remember the last time I saw that. It's when a player illegally uses a teammate to try and jump over the line of scrimmage to block a kick. The persona non grata was outside linebacker Dondre Tillman. I don't think he'll be taking the field this week. But yes, so he illegally pushed the long snapper. And then, of course, the Colts kick the field goal and go ahead and win. So that is what happened to the Broncos. They're 1-1 now. The Chargers are going to face them this week. Jack, what is your opening headline for this week's game?
Nix, another. I know it's a weird one, but he is playing like the worst quarterback in the league at the moment, and PFF has him rated as the 34th out of 34 QBs with a rating of 40.9. If Patrick Mahomes and Geno Smith have struggled against Jesse Minter's defense, I don't know if Bo Nix is even capable of finding some of those windows. Now, I may live to eat my words here, 100%, because what he does have in front of him is he does have a line that's playing half decently as well. They're giving him protection from McGlinchey, Miners, Wattenberg, Powers, and Bowles from right to left. Those guys from what I saw in the highlights, we're giving him a bit of time. It's just the decision making from Bo Nix, and he really only has Courtland Sutton that seems to be one of his favourite targets. So, it's going to be a tall order for Bo Nix against arguably the best secondary, I think, in the league at the moment. What's yours?
You took my headline. I was going with Minter is coming because Bo blows, and but if we maybe build on that and make it Chargers specific, Jesse Minter's defense had a lot of success against Bo Nix in the 2 times they played last year. I know Nix was a rookie, but he sailed his very first pass the first time they played last year, and you might remember it was Elijah Molden having the interception. It was a floated dig route intended for Sutton, mile high. I think it might have been Molden's first game for the team or something like that, and he's just plucked that interception to start
over the
game.
Middle from memory.
Yes,
it was over the middle. Yeah.
Spot on. So in those games, he struggled the first one. In the second time we played them, he was a little bit better. But I see it the same way you do. If you do the things that our defense are doing at the moment, which is you protect the roof of the defense with your umbrella coverage, playing too high at a league high rate, and then just do enough noise in the guy's face, enough exotic looks, I think he's really going to struggle. And I think a reporter for Mile High Report on SB Nation, so this is a Broncos website, put it best. He's written Evan Ingram's role has been more of a joke than Joker so far, says Scotty Payne of Mile High Report. And unbelievably, Jack, Evan Ingram and Courtland Sutton, they combined for 2 catches against the Colts, only 6 total targets. We're seeing guys like Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin. He was a guy I didn't mind. I thought he was undersized, but liked his tape for Oregon. That was definitely his best game as a pro. He's got some speed. He had this one drive. I think he had 3 catches and a touchdown on one drive. There's him. There's a little running back called Tyler Beatty. I just don't think the offense is very coherent at the moment, Jack. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is their running back 1. He had a pretty good game against the Colts. He looks like the same guy he was for us, which is a good running back. But I'm not super duper worried about this screen heavy behind the line of scrimmage style of offense. 22 of Bo Nix's 28 pass attempts last week were within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think there's an element of Bo Nix that gets very streaky as well. You like to see him outside of the pocket, but he is relatively fast.
Yeah.
From memory, he's not a great runner as either. Like, his legs aren't particularly dangerous. But there will be a point in this game when he makes a couple, he gets on a roll. Peyton will have prepared for us as well. That's the other thing. Peyton does prepare well for division games. So, yeah, be prepared for Nix to start hot and then go cold, because I have a feeling they're going to script quite well. They're going to see what Minter's doing. They've watched the last 2 weeks. Bo Nix will know where to throw. He'll rip a couple short early. But it's whether they can, and Minter makes incredible adjustments, I think, in what Bo Nix is doing. And we've finally got the cornerbacks as well. You know, we talked about Still and Derwin, but there seems to also be this recognition. Still made an incredible tackle on a screen pass to, was it Ginty as well, or someone? Slipped through was it Bowers or someone it was a wide receiver, slipped right through, tackle for loss. So we're going to be very much aware for that as well. I guess if we talk about defensively, our pressure is going to be pretty important. Between Miners and Powers, they are ranked. Powers is ranked 6th out of 69 guards in the league, and Miners is ranked 9th out of 69 guards. So their interior is holding up pretty well, which is going to be really important for Caldwell and co to really get Nix. And because Nix is short, he's a little Drew Brees. You put your hands up in the air, he's not going to be able to see those throws. So and tackles in McGlinchey and Bowles are fairly solid. It's just going to be pocket contain, pocket disruption, slowly close it, force him to rip those balls as sort of, take the short ones, but push him past that 10 yard, get him downfield, because he will throw interceptions.
Yeah, and I think they're going to try it, Jack. I think the Broncos are on the fast road to nowhere if they think they're going to win this game through a dink and dunk passing offense. They will have a fumble. They'll throw a pick. They're not going to score enough points. The Raiders just scored 9 points. We're just too good at the moment with a too high shell. They're going to have to get aggressive and try rip some dagger concepts, hit a deep dig to Cortland Sutton, take some risks. Yep. They did hit Marvin, whole shot. They did get a longish sideline pass touchdown to Marvin Mims early in the game against the Colts. I think they're going to try some of that because I don't think they're going to win the game being conservative. I'm going to flip it over, Jack, to the other side of the ball because I thought Shane Steichen had his own masterclass for the Colts against what on paper is a very good Denver Broncos secondary. I thought they had a lot of early success running horizontal routes and intermediate crosses. So they know that Vance Joseph is Mr. Cover 0, Mr. Cover 1. It's a man-heavy coverage with quite a lot of blitzes. And the best way you can exploit that is a variety of rub routes, crosses, things where you're kind of going across the field and forcing a defender in man coverage to chase you across the field. And even Pat Surtain was getting beaten like a drum pretty early in the game. The other thing Steichen did that was very clever, I mean, not every team's got a Tyler Warren. You're kind of splitting him out, offset in the eye as a running back. But we knew this last year. We sent Gore Vidal, the author. We sent Kamani Vidal on a wheel route.
We did down the right side.
Matched up on Cody Barton, who was with the Broncos at the time, for a score. They were doing varieties of that this week. Alex Singleton's returning from an ACL. They forced him to cover Tyler Warren running this beautiful over sail route out of the backfield. And all of a sudden it's a 30-yard completion. And then another one, they sent Jonathan Taylor out on a wheel route, 30-yard completion matched up on a linebacker. Dare I say it, might this be a week for your guy Tyler Conklin? Or I'm even thinking, do you activate Oronde Gadsden? Because what I'm looking for is a tight end or running back who can do something, whether it's you come through the A gap and snake out, get them lined up on a linebacker, and I think that's one of the keys to victory.
Let's not forget that Jonathan Taylor had 165 yards on the ground from memory. So when a running back is that dominant, the passing game is going to open up naturally as well. So I'm looking for, this is going to be the double-headed monster. This is Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. Are we playing at home or are we playing at Mile High?
This one's at SoFi.
This is at SoFi. Okay, I just feel underneath our roof is that we're gonna take their souls a little bit. I would love to see now. I'm thinking that Peyton is now prepared because they're gonna throw the ball. Nah, I reckon this is when Najee has those punishing 10, 11-yard runs every third or fourth snap. Omarion comes on. Dare I say, maybe we have a screen. Maybe we have Omarion see that catching game that we know he's so good at. I don't think this is going to be a QJ game. I think their safeties are too good in, was it Hufanga and, Hufanga, is it...
Brandon Jones.
I can never pronounce his name. Is it Stranard at linebacker?
Yeah,
Stranad?
Justin Sternard.
Singleton. I just don't think there's going to be, with Surtain out there, Surtain's going to take either McConkey or Keenan Allen. He's going to lock either one of them down. But whoever's not on Surtain, I think is going to feast. QJ won't have too much to do. It'll be your running backs, and it'll be either Ladd or Keenan in that short intermediate game that just sucks the life out of this defense.
Jack, it better be, because they've got two guys on their defensive line who were second-team All-Pros last year. They have Nick Benito, 13.5 sacks last year. Zach Allen, 8.5. And then they got Jonathan Cooper, who had 10.5 sacks. Yeah. Don't get it mixed up. They blitzed Daniel Jones last week. It might have been the most I've ever seen. They blitzed him on 71% of his dropbacks. Run the ball, get it out of your hands, find a way to win. So result prediction time, Jack, unless you've got anything else you wanted to touch on.
No, that's it. I reckon result prediction. I'm going to go the Bolts are 30 and the Denver Broncos are 17. I'm going to say it's going to be another double score win for the Bolts at SoFi.
I predicted the Broncos before the season started, but I'm fully buying into the way the team's playing at the moment. So I'm going to flip it, and I'm not quite as optimistic as that. I'm going to go with a 24-17 win. It's going to be a one-score game. I'm feeling what you said earlier, that the Broncos will have something up their sleeve, and if we're going to run the ball a lot, it might not be a high-scoring game. But so we both have the Chargers starting the season 3-0. All against AFC West division rivals. How good. What a positive start to the year.
Absolutely. And this game has a lot of meaning as well. If you go 3-out in your division, I think Derwin James or someone said it in the locker room or in a press conference, you can get 3-out in the first 3 games against your division. That is setting you up for success later in the year. So I reckon this is going to be a hot game. I think I had us losing against the Raiders last week, and I think winning against the Broncos. I think I also said that in my record prediction that we were going to lose against the Chiefs. So I don't know. I'm all over the shop. You know me, Alistair. I like all bases covered, baby. No one can catch me. No one can catch me.
Never wrong.
Before we go, is there anything else in any of the games throughout the second round of the NFL that you wanted to touch on? Anything at all? Anything that popped out to you?
Yeah, 2 quick ones. First, it was Jack.
Thing.
It was Jack's wet dream this week. I mean, Trevor Lawrence loses to Jake Browning. Caleb Williams gets stomped by Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers, I reckon I'm stealing your headlines, but you had a good time.
You are.
The other thing I'll say, sorry, mate, I'll let you go off. What I'll say is it was good to see a couple. It was good to see a couple of Chargers have some success, and I'm talking about Joey Bosa and Josh Palmer. The Bills decimated the Jets 30-10. Joey Bosa had a forced fumble early in the game, and then he had a sack. They tried to block him with Mason Taylor, an undersized tight end rookie from LSU. Yeah. Didn't go too well, and Joey Bosa is laughing with Josh Allen on the mic up. They're trying to block me with the tight end. They're trying to block me with the tight end. It's good to see them both. Josh Palmer had a couple big catches, so I'm quietly rooting for the Bills this year until they play the Chargers.
Yeah, you took all my headlines, but that's okay. That's okay. I can deal with that. I just had, because I was going to talk about Rodgers, I was going to talk about Goff stomping Williams, and I was going to talk about Trevor Lawrence. But anyway, that's by the by.
Is there anything you'd like to focus on with any of those, though, that I didn't really touch on?
Not really. The discourse, I'm now beginning to feel, I've moved past feeling triumphant over Caleb Williams, and I'm now actually feeling quite sorry for him because the discourse in the media is quite heavy around it. There are guys that still believe in him. There are guys that don't. The Bears are people are saying that the Bears franchise is cursed. You give him the best offensive play caller, still can't get the job done. Trevor Lawrence is not Baker Mayfield. We're seeing that. How about Baker Mayfield becoming arguably a top 5 quarterback over the last couple of years? He's playing super well. Yeah. And those Bucks just keep on winning. What a game that was. But the last thing I'll leave you with is I think the Miami Dolphins are an absolute basket case. What is happening when a team has a players only meeting after 1 game or 2 games of the year? Mike McDaniel, I think you're in a bit of strife. He could be looking for a new job. And you know what? I'd take him in an instant. Roman's doing a great job so far, but he'll find a job. He'll be back on his feet. He's a brilliant mind. I just don't think he's a leader of an NFL organization. But
sure.
An hour and 10 minutes, Alistair, without Andy. He's not here to keep us tethered. That was great fun. Thank you so much.
Anytime. And thanks to the listeners. Sometimes we're chatting to each other and you forget that there are people listening to this. They're engaging. We've never had more really kind remarks. People reaching and DMing us and telling us how much they enjoy the show. We're seeing you pop up all over the world, wherever you're listening. It's awesome. So thanks, TDU crew. Keep it up. Plenty more where this came from.
Absolutely, and obviously it really helps us. We should say it. We always say it at the end of the show.
We'll do it next week.
We need to do it at the start, but like and subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a rating on Spotify. That really helps. But as Alistair said, you guys are great. Thank you so much. This has been a great chat. Love it, Andy. We miss you. Enjoy Italy. Ryan Watkins. We look forward to maybe seeing some photos of what happens against the Broncos with you and Andy. Enjoy the warm pints. That's it, TDU crew. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Al, see you soon.
Bye.
Back pedals looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it. Zigzag. 10, 5, high step. Touchdown. San Diego.
Woo! Good night. Good night to all.